Good morning. Welcome back. I think this is going to have to be a let's read. This is going to have to be a let's read. Maybe I think we're going to have to segment. We're going to have to segregate, as much as I hate that. We're going to have to separate the Mr. Cool Mug podcast, in which it's just a free-flowing monologue of ideas. We're going to have to separate that from the let's read, because I think we can all recognize that reading a book is not really a podcast. It's not really what you expect. It's not really the flavor and the zest of what we've come to expect. So it is different. It is a let's read. And today we're reading W.K.C. Guthrie's A History of Greek Philosophy, the earlier pre-Socratics and the Pythagoreans. Now, you may think I'm going back to Pythagoras. That's not entirely the case. But this is Thales. We're focusing on Thales, and we're looking for easily accessible reading material on Thales. Does anyone know what an FBA is? Is he a former Bachelor of Arts? Is he fulfillment by Amazon? What is an FBA? I don't know what a FBA is, but Guthrie is an FBA. And this is just volume 1. Should I read the publishing information? Should I read that? This was published as early as 1962 in Great Britain. Ever notice how they changed it from Great Britain to the United Kingdom, the UK? Ever notice that? I think they just don't like that word great. Great in Britain. I think those are two words that they don't like. I think they prefer United Kingdom. United Kingdom. It's an interesting shift, but you can see that shift. The old Great Britain, in German it's Großbritannien. Now it's the United Kingdom. United Kingdom, like the United States. You ever notice that shift? Interesting shift. Interesting shift. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just making things up. But we're going to go into Thales. We're going to at least try to talk about Thales. And we might skip the preface. I'm going to maybe skip the preface because it's probably not the best. It's probably going to be superfluous. And then we have a note on the sources, which we might also skip because we're just going to blindly trust the sources. Okay, so then we've got a list of abbreviations. Are you going to tell me what FBA means? No, apparently not. Okay, well, the abbreviations are simply in the works cited, so we don't care because we blindly trust. Introduction and summary. Okay, probably skip that as well. Probably don't care about that one as well. Probably just skip through it. Myth and reason, pre-Socratics, all kinds of history and background, Sicilians, nous, intelligence, just read random words off the page, scrolling. We're scrolling. Oh my goodness, this is such a... I'm just trying to hone in on Thales, dude. I'm just trying to hone in here. I don't want... How many pages? We're on like page 20 already. Christian belief that all men are sons of God by quoting a line of the Stoic poet Aratus. This is interesting. St. Paul commends the Christian belief. Okay, there's a continuous interaction between Christian and pagan thought. Okay, cool. All right, that's cool. Beginnings of philosophy in Greece. The embryonic stage. I don't think I can search. I don't think this is one of those PDFs where you can search for words because the words are not, they're just not right. They're not right words. They're pictures. They're not actually words. We've got history. We're talking about Egypt. Where's Thales? I want to see Thales. Where's Thales? The Milesians. I don't know who the Milesians are. He says, okay, I see the word Thales, so we're going to hone in. I hope you love that introduction. We have outgrown the tendency of which Cornfield complained in 1907 to write the history of Greek philosophy as if Thales had suddenly dropped from the sky As he bumped the earth, ejaculated, "Everything must be made of water." It was a sign of the changed outlook that in preparing the fifth edition of Deal's Fragments of the Pre-Socratic Philosophers in 1934, Walter Krantz put into effect a suggestion made by Deals himself in the preface to the fourth edition, namely to place at the beginning a chapter of extracts from early cosmological, astronomical, and gnomic writings, which in the previous editions had been relegated to an appendix. This raises the difficult question whether the present work should follow the same plan. Strong reason against doing so is the endlessly disputed authenticity and date of the records of this pre-philosophical tradition, which are, for the most part, preserved only as quotations in writers of a much later period. We may be sure that Hesiod's Theogony, the only excellent work of its type, preceded the Milesian philosophers. Okay, what even is the Milesian? Probably if I read the preface and everything. The Milesians are Gaels who sail to Ireland from Hispania? What is going on? The final race to settle Ireland. Oh, this is weird. Is this real life? Is this science fiction? What's going on? The motherland of the races. Oh, this is weird. This is interesting. An invention of Irish Christian writers. Okay. Alright, well, that's not really what I was looking for. Oh, the inhabitants of Miletus. Miletus, the founder, historians, epic poets, Thales, considered by many the first Greek natural philosopher. Alright, so we're just going to do a quick Wikipedia, do a quick wiki on it. Pythagoras was born 570, he died 495. Thales was born 624, died 548, approximately. A mathematician, one of the 7 sages of Greece. Let's see, who are the 7 sages? We have Thales. His advice was, know thyself. Ooh, very cool. And it was engraved at the front facade of the Temple of Apollo at Delphi. Delphi, very important Apollonian site, which is, where is it close to? It's in Phocis. Phocis is the current administrative district, and the capital is Amphissa. Amphissa, within the municipality of Delphi. I'm just trying to figure out, is this nearer to Sparta? Is this nearer to Athens? I don't know my Greek geography. But we are looking at different things. We are looking at stuff. We're looking at some 7 stages. Bias of Priene, Solon of Athens. I remember Solon. He had a lot to say about the gays. Yes, he did, that Solon. We have Cleobulus, and then we have some other Anacharsis the Scythian. Ooh, this is interesting. Anacharsis, a Scythian philosopher who traveled from his homeland to the northern shores of the Black Sea to Athens, who made a great impression as a forthright, outspoken barbarian. Ooh. He was the son of Nurus, half Greek and a mixed Hellenic culture. He left his native country and came to Athens. Oh, this is very interesting. He was the first foreigner who received the privileges of Athenian citizenship. So this is the point at which Athenian citizenship is no longer ethnic or blood-related. It is now open to those who share the values. At this point, Greece is no longer a blood and soil country. It is now a value-based country. So that is an interesting transition. And let's see, he returned to the Scythians. He was killed by his own brother for his Greek ways. Okay. So that is interesting. So that's all cool. We can read about that. We can look at him. We've got some sources and legends. So that's where Thales, that's the context that Thales was living in, one of the seven sages. He is regarded as the first philosopher in the Greek tradition, even though Pythagoras actually invented the term philosophy. He is otherwise historically recognized as the first individual in Western civilization to have entertained and engaged in scientific philosophy. Thales is recognized for breaking from the use of mythology to explain the world and universe, and instead explaining natural objects and phenomena by theories and hypotheses in a precursor to modern science. Now I want to look up Hesiod. I just want to see Hesiod. He was active between 750 and 650, around the same time as Homer. Okay, so it looks like Hesiod comes a century before Thales, and Thales comes a century before Pythagoras, and Pythagoras comes a century before, or maybe, where's Plato? Where's Plato at? We're gonna make a graph. We're gonna make a chart. We're going to look at some of these different things. Plato actually comes, about a century after Pythagoras. So it's pretty clear here. We have Hesiod is, we'll say, the 8th century. Thales is the 7th century. Pythagoras is the 6th century. Plato is the 5th century. So we have 4 centuries here of Greek progression from Homeric Greece, which we might say is the zenith of Greek culture, and then we move into Thales, who starts questioning mythology, Pythagoras, who kind of reifies this questioning of mythology into some kind of synthesis or a new religious type relating to numerology. And then Plato, who kind of takes that further, posits a world of forms, and then maybe, where's Aristotle at? We want to see Aristotle. How are you doing, Aristotle? So he is in the 4th century. So we're kind of seeing here, we're going to order these tabs here. So it goes Hesiod, Thales, Pythagoras, Plato, and then Aristotle in the 4th century. And then, who comes after Aristotle? Well, Rome not Rome. It's actually Greece that kind of collapses and kind of doesn't really have anyone at Aristotle's level. And it's kind of all downhill from there. So that's kind of an interesting way to look at it, that we have 5 different centuries here of people who are considered, from Homeric Greece down to Aristotle. I think it's important that we chronologically order these people, because otherwise it would be like saying, like Charlemagne is the same as Charlemagne's pretty distant. It'd be like saying Pope Gregory, Pope Gregory the 7th would be, or Pope Gregory the 8th would be in league. He was fighting the Protestants or something. So we do have to get our chronology sorted. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so he says almost all the other, or Wikipedia says almost all the other pre-Socratic philosophers followed him in explaining nature as deriving from a unity of everything based on the existence of a single ultimate substance instead of using mythological explanations. Aristotle regarded him as the founder of the Ionian school and reported Thales' hypothesis that the originating principle of nature and the nature of matter was a singular material substance, water. In mathematics, Thales used geometry to calculate the heights of pyramids and the distance of ships from the shore. He is the first known individual to use deductive reasoning applied to geometry by deriving 4 corollaries in Thales' theorem, which has to do with, it says, Thales' theorem states that if A, B, and C are distinct points on a circle where the line AC is a diameter, meaning it extends to the full length, the full width of the circle, then the angle ABC is a right angle. Thales' theorem is a special case of the inscribed angle theorem and it is mentioned and proved as part of the 31st proposition in the book, in Euclid's Elements. Euclid, when are you hanging out, Euclid? Euclid is around at the same time as Aristotle, apparently. And Archimedes comes even later. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Thank you. Thank you for that. It is attributed to Thales of Miletus, who is said to have offered an ox to the god Apollo as a sacrifice of thanksgiving for the discovery, but it is sometimes attributed to Pythagoras. Okay, very, very cool, very interesting. And you can sort of prove it yourself by drawing a circle and by drawing 3 points and seeing how that turns out for you. So that's cool. We're into that. That's sweet. Thank you, Thales. He is the first known individual to whom a mathematical discovery has been attributed, which is interesting because oftentimes when you look at mathematics, there's a lot of math that's attributed either to Arab or Hindu sources. But apparently Thales is the first individual ever to have a mathematical discovery attributed to him specifically. So this is sort of the dawn of the scientist or the mathematician, the individual who discovers something about reality, about nature, about the nature of the world. So that's pretty cool. And arche apparently means, we were talking about the word arche as like archetype. Arche means beginning, origin, or source. So he says water is the arche, it is the source of all things. Then he also has the intercept theorem. The intercept theorem is a proportionality theorem having to do with angles intersecting two parallel lines, which is that's pretty elementary geometry. Thank you, Thales. So, I think that's a good little introduction to what Thales sort of sets the scene for Thales. We might just cut it off there. It's 17 minutes. We sort of dipped our toes. We were like, how's this Thales water? We dipped our toes and we found it was lukewarm. We said we might go up to our knees, but that would be for next time. That would be for next time. Short little let's read, a beautiful little video. I hope it warmed your heart and inspired your soul. So thank you for listening. I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.